This all started because I was intrigued by Nick Norwitz's Oreo study. Now, if you haven't heard about this study, Nick Norwitz is on a ketogenic diet. He's got a very elevated LDL level, and he decided to test reducing that LDL level using Oreo cookies. And he tested reducing his LDL with Oreo cookies versus reducing his LDL with statins. And there was a massive difference. The Oreo cookies outperformed the statins by a massive margin. But I'll leave the link to Nick's video in the description so you can check that out. Now, for me, I was very interested in this study because, as you know, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, I have a very high level of LDL as well, hovering around 370 to 380. So I'd been wondering, what if I did this kind of test as well? What would happen? Is this a test that would work for anyone with an elevated level of LDL on a ketogenic style of diet? But I also know myself, and I know that I can't ever just stop at one cookie. So if I have just one Oreo cookie, that's the end of my carnivore diet permanently, most likely. So I watched Nick Norwitz's video with interest, and then I put the idea on the back burner. But recently something happened that allowed me to take my LDL from a 377 down to a 251 in less than 2 months. And I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk about what I did, and also why I don't think this actually matters anyway. So I have changed my diet over the last 2 months, but I didn't change it in a way that I was adding Oreo cookies in or anything like that. There was no typical junk food that I added into my diet. I did make a change, but it was a very slight one. But this change is the only one that I made, and it's made all the difference. Now, I want to preface this by saying I'm not recommending anyone do this. I don't think this is a solution. I think that getting your LDL down that's a decision for you, but I'm not sure that we should be messing around with food, statins, or anything in reducing our LDL because this is something our body is controlling. I just found this to be an interesting test to do, and I kind of stumbled upon it. So if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you'll remember that when I had my one meal a day originally, I used to incorporate cheese. And around 9 or 10 months ago, Carnivore Kip challenged me to remove cheese for a week or so. And I thought, well, don't feel really addicted to it or anything, so sure, I'll do this challenge. And I removed it. And I kept it removed because almost instantly I noticed improvements in my feeling and in my physique. My stomach got much flatter very quickly, and I started to feel less bloated. So it was a very easy decision for me to say just no more cheese. I'm not going to have cheese anymore. That was until a few months ago, and I found a packet of this in the fridge. This is the grated cheese that I used to use on my breakfast. Now, of course, the packet that I found was a new packet. It wasn't one that I'd stopped using 9 or 10 months ago. But it was one my wife had bought. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I could give this a try. I wonder what this tastes like now. I wonder if I'll feel good eating this or not. I wonder if I still have a taste for cheese. So I added it to my breakfast. So I basically had my ground beef, I had my eggs on top of that, and then I just kind of covered that with some cheese. And it didn't really have the same feeling that it used to. I didn't really enjoy the taste so much. And what I also noted is that I was much more bloated than I had been in at least 10 months. I felt kind of uncomfortable, and my jeans almost instantly felt tighter. It was a very strange feeling, going from that feeling of satiated but nice and slim to feeling a little bit like I used to on the carbs, where you would feel a little bit or a lot bloated after you'd finished eating something, after you were feeling full. So I thought maybe I'm not going to have this anymore. I certainly don't feel a taste for it. Then I had a thought. Because I'm feeling so bloated, I wonder if there's stuff in this that's, carbohydrate related or something, and I have heard from people that there's some kind of cellulose added to grated cheese to stop it clumping together. So I thought, I wonder if I just keep adding this to my breakfast, if I can do this as a little bit of a trial like the Oreo cookie trial. And so that's basically what I did. I've been adding cheese to my breakfast for a couple of months now. And as a result of that, that's the only thing I've changed about my diet. I'm not doing any more or less exercise or anything like that. The only thing I've changed about my diet is that I've added this cheese in. And what has happened? My LDL has gone from 300, let me double check the numbers, 366 down to 251. So the reading of 366 was from a blood test taken on February 8 this year, and the 251 was a reading that was done on Thursday last week, which would make that 31, 30, 29, 28th of March. So from the 8th of February to the 28th of March, doing nothing more than topping my breakfast with this cheese, my LDL has dropped over 100 points. Now, unfortunately, when I saw the doctor the other day to get that blood test, I didn't get a copy of the paper. So the last copy I've got of the paper was from a week earlier, and that number was around 280, I think. So I'll show that on screen with the original results. So I just thought this was an interesting thing to share with you. So number one, I'm not going to be eating cheese anymore. I thought it would be useful for this kind of a test just to keep it in because I tried it, felt like I did when I used to eat carbohydrates, and thought, you know what, maybe there's something in here that's affecting me similarly. Let's just keep it in and see what happens. Every day it has affected me like that. And I should say, on the scale, nothing's changing. But I feel uncomfortable enough after I've eaten each time that I don't need to have this in my diet. The second thing is, regarding lowering your LDL, I am not a doctor. I'm not giving you advice to try this kind of thing. And I just tried it out of interest's sake. But I don't think that we should be messing around with our LDL and trying to get it lower, whether that's with food or with statins. And part of the reason for that is, as I've heard some doctors say, this is under the control of our genes, the level of our LDL. And again, not as a doctor, not as a researcher, not as a scientist, but I find it very hard to believe that we were designed to be broken so that the majority of us need to be taking statins to manage our health. So I don't think we should be playing with this number, to be honest. I think we should just let it be, especially given that typically people who are eating a carnivorous diet or a ketogenic diet that have elevated LDL, they feel better than they ever have in their lives. I think that kind of gives us more of an indication of what we should be doing than anything. But again, don't listen to me as a not doctor, as a not researcher, as a not scientist. I'm just sharing my experience. And I wanted to share this little test with you because I thought it was really interesting that the number dropped so significantly. And if you do want to hear from a doctor about LDL and why we shouldn't be messing around with it and trying to get it as low as possible, check out this video next.